So, Brock Turner, what a douche. We all know the story. He was found guilty of raping an unconscious girl behind a dumpster and only got 6 months in prison, and he'll probably serve like a hot minute. But Brock's case raises a very good issue, an issue of privilege in the justice system. When inquisitive, open-minded sciqers like you ask a question like,
is it really true that rich white dudes get lighter sentences just because they're rich and white?
And
is there a bias in the justice system?
We look at evidence. Ignore all the emotion, all the rhetoric, the stuff about justice. Just show me the data. So what we're going to do is look at the hard data behind privilege in the justice system. And let me give you a little teaser. What we found was definitely not what I expected. So the first thing we saw in the Brock Turner case was money. His parents could afford a hotshot lawyer who argued successfully for him to get a light sentence even though he was guilty. But wealth doesn't strike equally. US Census data from 2011 shows the average wealth of a white person is around $110,000 compared to $6,000 for African Americans and $7,000 for Hispanics. When I read that, I thought it was an error, like I expected some disparity, but that's almost 20 times more for white people. Didn't they mean like 60,000 compared to 110,000? Nope. It really is that bad. To put this graph into context, the black-white wealth gap is greater in the United States today than it was in South Africa in 1970 at the height of apartheid. So yeah, there's a good chance that if Brock Turner had been a black guy, he wouldn't have had access to enough money for a good trial lawyer. But even if he did, when faced with a crime, the justice system must first decide what that person is being charged for. Anyone that's watched Law and Order knows the crime matters. For example, in Brock Turner's case, the original charge was rape, but that was dropped and instead he was charged with sexual assault, a less serious crime. So that little decision of what to call your crime really matters. A research paper published in the University of Michigan showed prosecutors are only half as likely to file a serious charge, a charge with a mandatory minimum sentence, against a white person. Once you're charged with a crime, does race affect whether or not you're found guilty? Well, one study in 2012, published in the Journal of Legal Studies, asked exactly this question and found that people who are white are less likely to be found guilty. That's right, whether or not you're guilty has less to do with evidence and more to do with the color of your skin. Okay, so even if we're found guilty, do white people like Brock Turner get lighter sentences? I think you know the answer to this one by now, guys. White people get lighter sentences. The US Sentencing Commission, an unbiased, bipartisan, independent agency created by Congress, reported black offenders receive sentences that are 10% longer than white offenders for exactly the same crimes. In Brock Turner's case, even his lesser crime of sexual assault had a potential sentence of 14 years in prison. But the judge chose to give him just 6 months because they didn't want the sentence to adversely affect the criminal. So in summary, once arrested, white people are more likely to be able to hire a private attorney, then they're more likely to be charged with a less serious offense, and then less likely to be found guilty. And even if they are found guilty, they're likely to receive a lighter punishment. Now, my lovely, peace-loving, prison-avoiding viewers, why does any of this matter to you? This statistic directly affects you, even if you're white, because the average cost to keep someone in prison in the United States is more than $31,000 per year. To put that number into context, that's more expensive than putting them in an in-state college. And you pay for that through taxes, which makes me think maybe we should be putting criminals in college rather than in prison. Anyway, we didn't want this video to be 4 hours long, so there's so many studies I had to exclude from this video, but I strongly encourage you to click on the link below and read them all. All right, now it's your guys' turn. What do you think about this proof that the legal system favors the privileged? Do any of you sciqers out there have any personal stories to share? Let us know in the comments below. Hi everyone, I'm Jade Lovell, resident science nerd on the Young Turks Network. You're watching SciQ and we know you don't want to miss an episode, so please click the subscribe button down below.